Welcome to Movie Rehash. Today, I am going to explain an action movie released in 2013, titled, Two Guns. Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie starts with two guys, Michael Stigman, and Bobby Trench, arriving at small town for dinner. Conveniently, there's a bank nearby. Stigman sits in the diner, talking to a waitress, while Trench goes to the bank to purchase a safe deposit box. After that, Trench joins Stigman in the diner. They order donuts, and Stigman causes a distraction by setting off the fire alarm and starting a grease fire on the grill. They walk out just as the place explodes. Then, the movie goes back in time 1 week earlier. The two guys are on their way to see their friend El Toro at Papi Greco's ranch in Mexico. They find out that El Toro was stealing money, and he got in trouble and lost his head. Bobby gives some fake passports and gets money in return. He thought he'd get drugs, but Greco is nervous because of what happened with El Toro. So, Bobby gives the money back and tells Greco to keep the fake passports. Now, Greco owes Bobby a favor. When Stigman goes outside, he's acting cocky. Greco's henchmen have buried chickens with their heads sticking out in the yard, but even these easy targets are hard to kill. Stigman makes fun of them and then quickly shoots and kills all the chickens. He's really good with a gun. On their way back to the US, their car is stopped at the border by many soldiers carrying guns. They're taken into different rooms for questioning. This is where we find out that Trench is actually an undercover DEA agent. The cocaine he was supposed to have was evidence against Papi Greco. Since that plan failed, Trench's boss Jessup wants to take him out of the operation. Trench tells a lie and says he's close to getting information from the headless El Toro. He just needs a bit more time. Jessup agrees, and lets them go. Afterward, Trench and Deb are at a motel talking after being intimate. Trench is not ready for a serious relationship and avoids making commitments. Deb already has a boyfriend, and she asks Trench if he ever truly loved her. He says he intended to. Trench then tells Deb that Stigman wants to rob a bank where Greco has been hiding $3 million in drug money. Since the drug operation didn't work, they want to catch him for tax evasion and other charges. Deb hesitantly agrees to discuss it with Jessup. Trench goes to Stigman's apartment to inform him about the bank robbery plan. Stigman is wary because of their encounter with Border Patrol and playfully raises his gun as a prank. They agree to follow Papi Greco to his mistress' place to determine the right time for the heist. The heist is on. And this leads us back to the diner exploding. Since the diner is out of commission, the police won't be able to respond to the bank heist. This is a good thing because they plan to rob the bank the following day. Deb assures Trench that she'll have resources ready to capture Stigman precisely at 3. At the same time, in another part of town, Stigman meets with some suspicious individuals. They're from the Navy. It turns out Stigman's mission is to take the drug money to support secret naval operations. He departs with advanced military equipment. On the morning of the robbery, they put on their masks and enter the police station, locking the officers in with the recent inmates. The bank heist goes smoothly, but to their surprise, they find not $3 million, but $43 million. Both men are shocked, and Trench realizes it will take more time to secure all this cash. They start loading the getaway car, and Trench notices that there's no sign of the police or anyone coming after them. It's like a ghost town, and they make their escape incredibly easily. Earl, a mysterious individual who is determined to get his money back. The unfortunate bank manager quickly discovers just how much that money means to Earl in a rather unpleasant way. Stig and Trench head to the desert to examine the stolen money. Stigman surprises Trench, pulling out his gun just as Trench was about to do the same. Trench can't draw his weapon, but he shows his DEA badge. Stigman was instructed to kill Trench, but he only grazes him. Over the course of their mission, they've developed a genuine friendship. As he approaches the wounded Trench, Stigman spots the badge and exclaims, "Wow! You're DEA." Stigman had been led to believe Trench was corrupt, but now he's unsure. He leaves Trench with a bottle of water and abandons him in the desert. Stigman brings the money to his commanding officer, Quince, at the hotel. Quince doesn't appear shocked that Trench was a DEA agent, but is disappointed that Stigman didn't eliminate him. He explains that the money will be transferred to a base in Corpus Christi, and organizes a team to find and eliminate Trench in the desert. Meanwhile, Trench stumbles through the desert until he encounters some self-appointed border patrollers. He easily disarms them and takes their dune buggy. He then heads to a veterinarian to get treatment for his gunshot wound. Stigman has guided the team to the location where they were supposed to locate Trench. Quince, furious with Stigman for not taking out Trench earlier, orders the team to eliminate Stigman. However, Stigman had anticipated the double cross and escapes in a thrilling cat-and-mouse pursuit. In the meantime, Earl has located the veterinarian who treated Trench's wound. The vet pretends not to know anything, but the dune buggy parked outside gives him away. After a tense exchange, the vet reluctantly admits that Trench was there but can't provide further details. At the Camino Real hotel, Trench follows Deb. He's aware that she's meeting her boyfriend, but he intervenes. He senses that something is amiss but tells her he's heading to Boss Jessup's apartment. Sadly, Earl got to Jessup before Trench did. While interrogating Jessup, Trench arrives. Jessup is shot, and Trench is forced to play a dangerous game of Russian roulette. Fortunately, he survives, but Jessup doesn't. Earl proceeds to shoot Jessup 3 more times using Trench's own semi-automatic weapon. Now, Trench is in trouble for his boss's murder, and Earl demands his share of the money. Trench goes to Stig's apartment, but it's empty. Stig is on the rooftop across the street, observing Trench through a military-grade rifle scope. After some conversation, Stig realizes that his gut feeling was right. Trench is one of the good guys. He helps Trench escape from the team his commanding officer sent to eliminate him. Both of them manage to escape and meet up the next day at the house of Poppy's mistress. They capture Greco and engage in a comical car chase through the desert, eventually reaching an agreement. They take Greco to an interrogation spot, which happens to be Deb's garage. It's here that we discover Earl is actually CIA, and they've stolen $43 million from a classified government operation. As Trench talks with Deb in the kitchen, Stig notices something in his peripheral vision. Someone has arrived. It's another group sent to eliminate them. Amid the chaos, Poppy manages to escape. Trench, Stig, and Deb quickly get into a car and drive away. While Trench questions Deb about how Stig's associates discovered his location, they are suddenly rammed by a heavy truck and find themselves surrounded by Poppy's gang. Poppy has them strung upside down in a barn at his ranch. He even urinates on his hands before picking up an axe handle to harm them. Stig and Trench confess that they have the money and promise to give it to Poppy. All of a sudden, Poppy is summoned from the barn because Earl has arrived. Earl's patronizing demeanor annoys Poppy, and he decides to take Earl's money from him. The guys have just 24 hours to retrieve the money for Poppy, or Deb's life will be in danger. After crossing the border, they steal a car to gain access to the military base. They make a pit stop at an old Navy buddy's shop to acquire additional gear before heading to the base. However, they don't have a solid plan to enter the specific base where Quinn has hidden the money. They intentionally crash the car in the gate. Stigman drops Trench off at Quinn's office while he leads the military police on a wild chase. Stopping at the Admiral's offices, he shares his incredible story while Trench confronts Quinn in his office. Trench reveals that he's aware of Quinn's relationship with Deb. Since the money isn't on the base, Trench deduces that Deb has it. The Admiral appreciates Stigman's honesty but refuses to tarnish the Navy's reputation with this sordid situation. He orders Stigman to be taken off the base and dispatches a SWAT team to apprehend Quinn. In the ensuing chaos, Quinn manages to escape, and Trench creates an explosion as a diversion to aid his escape. He seizes a military police vehicle and rushes back to rescue Deb. Deb knows it's too late for her and informs Poppy that Trench has no knowledge of the money's location. Besides, Poppy had planned to kill them both anyway. Poppy calls Trench and passes the phone to Deb. Tearfully, she apologizes to him while he attempts to persuade her to tell Poppy that he has the money. She genuinely meant to love him, but it's too late. Poppy kills her with Trench still on the line. Trench eventually meets Stig at the Navy buddy's shop. Stig wants revenge and is determined to eliminate them all, but Trench is defeated. He loved Deb after all, and there's no fight left in him. Following a lengthy drive from Corpus, Trench arrives home, only to find Deb's lifeless body has been left there. He's visibly shaken but notices a ring that Deb wore during their encounters. She always moved the ring to the other hand as she left Trench in their motel room. Suddenly, a realization strikes him. He returns to the motel room and uncovers the money hidden in the baseboard of the bed. Trench then calls Earl to set up a meeting. We cut to Stig at Poppy's ranch. He's driven the getaway car there and claims to have the money in the trunk. Stig appears to be facing off against a ranch filled with Poppy's ruthless drug cartel, but he's not alone. Quinn is there with a strike team that uses an RPG to take out some of Poppy's henchmen. While Quinn and Poppy are negotiating how to split the money, Earl arrives in a military helicopter. Trench rolls up in a vibrant red '64 Impala, loaded with Earl's money as per their agreement. Trench and Stig are supposed to walk away free, but Stig can't believe Trench will let them escape without consequences. Trench has a plan. He detonates the car, sending millions of dollars into the air and creating chaos. In the ensuing commotion, Poppy is wounded, and the henchmen are taken out, leaving only Earl, Quinn, Trench, and Stig in a literal Mexican standoff. Earl attempts to talk his way out of the situation, claiming that they have caches of cash in over 20 banks, and this obstacle changes nothing. Relying on Stig's remarkable aim, Trench eliminates Quinn, and Stig takes out Earl. As they depart from the ranch, they make sure to give Poppy a final dose of retribution for his cruel murder of Trench's beloved Deb. As a form of payback for Stig shooting him, Trench inflicts a flesh wound on Stig's leg. Poppy's housemaids efficiently collect bundles of undamaged cash, and together, they walk away into the sunset. We then jump to the duo scoping out another bank in a different small town. Stig inquires about the donuts, and the waitress bluntly says they're terrible, which they consider a positive sign. Trench leaves a generous tip with a stack of $100 bills, but why is he carrying so much cash? The reason is that he skimmed some from Earl's share. The film ends with Trench a knowing smile. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more interesting movie recaps.